All right, YouTube, back with another one. We got to figure out where all these holidays came from. Where did this stuff start? What are we really celebrating? Like, we got Christmas, we did Halloween. Now it's time for Easter. Like, we need to figure out where this stuff actually comes from before we keep passing it along to our children and then generation after generation. And unknowingly, we're celebrating gods and goddesses and all this pagan stuff that we had no idea about. So we need to do research and figure this thing out. So let's get into this quick video, and we're gonna go from there. I'll see you in a bit. Let's do it.
Christian ancient world is filled with stories of resurrection around spring, and thus Easter became associated with nature's rebirth and renewal, or from a Christian perspective, associated with the rebirth or resurrection of Christ. Long before the advent of Christianity, the Germanic spring festival Easter was celebrated throughout Europe, honoring the pagan fertility goddess Easter.
See what I mean?
Traditions including the rabbit, or eggs, root from the ancient beliefs associating the rabbit or eggs as symbols of new life and fertility. Easter is a celebration of spring. Flowers are blooming, birds are laying eggs, and baby bunnies are hopping about. As new life emerges in spring, the Easter bunny hops back once again, providing a long-standing cultural symbol to remind us of the cycles and stages of our own lives. In 731 CE, Bede, an early medieval monk considered to be the father of English history, wrote about the Anglo-Saxon goddess of fertility, Easter. Bede noted that in the 8th century England, the month of April was called Easter Manath, or Easter month, after the goddess Easter. Traditions of eating hot cross buns, which may seem related to Christianity, were originally done by the Germanic people.
Why does that lady look like a witch? Look at her nose. I don't know. But anyways, let's go.
Who would bake fresh bread in honor of the goddess Easter. The fresh buns, marked with a cross, would represent the 4 quarters of the moon, or 4 seasons, a cycle of life. In European traditions, the Easter bunny is known as the Easter hare. The symbolism of the hare has had many tantalizing ritual and religious roles through the years. In fact, hares were given ritual burials alongside humans during the Neolithic Age in Europe. Archaeologists have interpreted this as a religious ritual, with hares representing rebirth. Even during the Iron Age, ritual burials for hares were common, and in 51 BCE, Julius Caesar mentioned that in Britain, hares were not eaten due to their religious significance. Caesar would likely have known that in classic Greek tradition, hares are sacred to Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Meanwhile, Aphrodite's son, Eros, was often depicted carrying a hare as a symbol of unquenchable desire. Now, a lot of people might say reconstructing any Anglo-Saxon religious cult or rituals is next to impossible, as they had no written language and left no records. The only documented reference of Easter is traced to the 8th century monk, Saint Bede. However, whether we have information specifically on Easter or not, historians will agree that the worship of fertility goddesses was widespread, not only throughout Europe, but around the world, like in ancient Egypt like Isis, in Mesopotamia like Ishtar or Inanna, in Greece like Aphrodite, in Rome like Venus, etc. All these goddesses, although by different cultures and peoples had different names, were in essence the same deity of fertility. One of the oldest known fertility goddesses was that of the Mesopotamian Ishtar or Inanna, some 2,000 years before Christ.
Hence the reason why I don't celebrate holidays. Everything is derived from Europe and Rome, and it's always turned into something else. So done.
2,000 years before Christ. Historians assert the cult of Inanna or Ishtar heavily influenced the cult of the Canaanite Phoenician goddess of love and fertility, Astarte. The Phoenicians in turn introduced Astarte to the Greek islands of Cyprus and Cythera, where she either gave rise or heavily influenced the Greek goddess Aphrodite. Aphrodite took on Inanna or Ishtar's association with sexuality and procreation. Furthermore, she was known as Orania, which means heavenly, a title corresponding to Inanna's role as the queen.
It's the Easter eggs. I'm sure that's where that came from, the whole fertility, and it's all associated.
Of heaven. Early artistic and literary portrayals of Aphrodite were extremely similar to Inanna or Ishtar. Aphrodite also absorbed Ishtar's association with doves, which were sacrificed to only her. The Greek word for dove was peristera, which may be derived from the Semitic phrase para Ishtar, meaning bird of Ishtar. The myth of Aphrodite and Adonis is derived from the story of Inanna and Dumuzid. The story.
Yeah, we're done. I've heard enough. So done. You guys actually believe after all this time we've been celebrating these holidays, it has nothing to do with Christ. It all derived from all these pagan rituals, and I don't know if it's Satanism. I don't know what's going on, but it had nothing to do with Christ all this time. You grow up celebrating these things 10, 20, 30 years. Maybe even 40, I don't know, but it's too long to not know the truth. Always do research on the things that you are celebrating, because trust me, they don't derive from where you think they do. It has some very dark origins, and Christianity eventually accepted it was just passed down and it was accepted in the Christian church, and now it's just all evolved into one and the same. So keep doing your research, keep getting more wiser, and know about what you're celebrating and what you're passing down to your children and all the future generations. All right, so I will see you back with another video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching.